Hello Wargamers, it's me Callum from TableTopBanter, and today we have another video for you. We're looking at 40k tactics at the moment, and I have this whiteboard here to help me through it. And what we're going to do is step by step analyse Mathhammer. Should you be using it? Is it something to, use in moderation? Should you base your entire army plan around it? How to use it and how and why you might use it. So first of all, what we're going to talk about, we're going to ignore the whiteboard, and we're going to go on principle. So Mathhammer is using statistical probabilities to determine whether the unit... Oh, I do apologise about that. I've had a couple of problems with the camera lately. So going on to what I have on the whiteboard. What we have here is just a little diagram to help understand what's going on. So we've got 5 Space Marine Tactical Marines and 10 Tau Fire Warriors, 24 inches apart. Now, these 5 guys will get 1 shot each at that range. So, let's just write over here a 5. That's how many shots they're getting. So bear that in mind when we get to the end of this little run through of the maths. So it's important to know what this unit can do, which is what I was saying in the last part of this video before my camera cut out. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take the calculator I have blue tacked to the wall, and we're going to see how many of these hit. So, it's 5 lots of 2/3 because they hit on a 3+, so there is 2 opportunities to fail but 4 to pass. And that gives us 3.3 reoccurring hits. Now the toughness of a Tau Fire Warrior is 3 and the strength of a Space Marine Bolt Gun is 4. This means we can expect the same again. So 2/3. Oops, let's get that going. And what we can see here, 2.2 wounds. From these 2.2 wounds, what you'll see is once you do the maths on the Tau Fire Warrior save of a 4-up, you divide that by 2, and you get 1.1, so we'll call it 1 dead Fire Warrior. So somehow, we've gone from 5 shots to 1 dead Tau Fire Warrior. Now this is very important when you look at it because there are these barriers to taking the initial 5 shots from these 5 Marines and turning it into dead Fire Warriors. And you have to look at how to best utilise these 3 barriers, because that's how you make the most of each unit. So first we have ballistic skill, the strength and toughness in the chart, and the save. So I wanted to take this as an example because it gives us a strength 4 against a toughness 3, which, believe it or not, is the most common toughness in 40k, really. So what I wanted to really look at was to show you that at this range, this Space Marine unit is only going to kill 1 Tau Fire Warrior. Now that is not optimal use of this unit. Obviously this is the start of the game, so you're 24 inches apart, maybe you move up, maybe Tau deployed a bit further back. You're only getting 1 shot. Now let's say these 5 guys are in a Razorback, they manage to truck up the board, they've disembarked behind the Razorback for cover and they move forward later on. Either way, they're 7 inches away from these Tau Fire Warriors now. Which means they're in rapid fire range and assault range. So here's the question, what do you choose? This is where Mathhammer really comes in. Now we know the capability of this unit at range 24 inches and we can say that it's only going to kill 1 Tau Fire Warrior. Well, what's going to happen in this kind of range, these 7 inches, if we choose the rapid fire? Well, let's take a look at that first. So in rapid fire we're getting 10 shots for the unit. So what we're going to do now is the same process as before. 10 lots of 2/3 gives us a total of 6.6 reoccurring hits. We do the same again to wound, so that is multiplied by 2/3 again. And that gives us a total of 4.4 wounds. So, as you'd expect, 10 shots turns to 2 dead Fire Warriors. Now, most people will be thinking, okay, that's still not fantastic, but you've got to remember it's only 5 Space Marines, that's 70 points for that unit, so don't panic. It's not like we've super buffed this unit out. But to kill 2 Fire Warriors, yeah, okay, let's make a note of that. So, rapid firing. I do apologise that, like I said, my camera has been playing up lately. But as I was saying, from 5 shots, 1 dead Tau Fire Warrior, so that's 1 here. Now we're going to charge. This is where it becomes slightly more complicated with Overwatch. So with Overwatch, let's just reset our calculator. These Tau Fire Warriors are in rapid fire range. There are 9 of them left, so that's 18 shots, like that. hitting on 6s, so there's only a 1 in 6 chance they're going to hit. That's 3 hits. Strength 5 would let us know that that would be 2 wounds, and the likelihood is 1 or no Space Marines will be dead. Now, for this argument, we're going to say 1 dies, because I know what I'm like at rolling dice. That tends to be the way it goes. So now we've got 4 Space Marines charging 9 Fire Warriors. So we've only lost 1 Tau. Remember, they're now in close combat. So the way this would work is the Space Marines would attack first, with their 2 each on the charge. So that would be a total of 8. Hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s. So it's the same as before with the guns, but we've only got 8 shots now. So let's see what that does. So 8 lots of 2/3. That's the important one first. Can we hit them? The answer, yes. 5.3 hits. So we do this again to wound, 2/3. Now this causes 3.5 wounds. Now when we're dealing with halves, I tend to round up because that's the nicer way of doing it. So that's 4 wounds. Okay, so 4 wounds, we know that's 2 more dead Tau Fire Warriors. So let's just rub these off the board, and we've totaled 3 kills. Now you might be thinking that's great, that's better than rapid fire already. Obviously these Tau Fire Warriors now get to attack back. So they have 1 attack each, and they're hitting on 4s, wounding on 5s. So, 1 attack from the remaining 1, 2, 7. Is that? Yeah, that's 7 left. So 7 times 0.5 so they'll be getting 3.5 hits. So roughly 4, but we do that later on. So 3.5 hits. Now, the important thing here is they're wounding on 5s. So that's 1/3. And I can tell you they only do 1 wound to a Space Marine, who's more than likely going to save that. So great. No wounds to the Space Marines. They're fine. From this now, they've lost two models in combat. So their leadership is 8 with a Shazway, I believe. So they're now down to a 6. There's every chance they could fail that leadership and you overrun them because they have low initiative. However, the problem with doing it like this is you are relying on statistical averages. Now, if there's one thing I know, that doesn't always happen. The number of 1s I roll for Terminator saves, and the number of double 6s for things like leadership, and double 1s for things like charges, I'm sure we've all been there. So, yes, in theory, at 7-inch range, provided you make the charge. Okay, so now that we've really assessed these things, and we've had a closer look at how to use Mathhammer, and we're talking about, you know, knowing what a unit can do, and then also making decisions based on what is statistically better, or what has the better probability of you wiping out more than 1 model. What we're going to look at now is how modifying these 3 things can make a massive, massive difference when it comes down to removing units. So ballistic skill and weapon skill is the first thing to look at. Obviously there's not a lot you can do to a ballistic skill of a model, other than, in the Space Marines case, taking the Imperial Fist chapter tactics with bolt guns. It makes them almost ballistic skill 5. And with Tau you can obviously use the marker lights. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at what these Space Marines can do to this Tau group if they've got things like rerolls. So, for example, there's a librarian nearby and he's just cast Prescience. Now that's rerolling misses to hit. This is quite an important thing because more hits means more opportunities to wound, which means more opportunities for them to fail a save. So let's do the same thing with the 7 inches. Except this time we're going to assume they're going to fire their guns, because in the combat it gets a little complicated. And you might be on an objective, you might want to stay there. So we're at 12 inches. Lovely. Okay, so we're in rapid fire range. We're taking 10 shots. Now, as before, these 10 shots we're going to times by 2/3, and we are going to get a result that says it's 6.6 lots reoccurring. Now, we'll call this 6 for argument's sake, or actually we'll call it 7 because we're rounding to the nearest whole number. Of those 3 that are left, you'll get 2 more. So instead of having the original 6.6 reoccurring hits, we're now left with 9 hits. So you can see that's a big difference already. Of these 9 hits, 6 of them are going to wound. Now this is where it gets really amazing, because 6 wounds, 3 saves. Failed. So just by re-rolling to hit, which is, you know, practically a free thing because you need an HQ choice anyway, you're going to take your librarian if it's a small game. We've dealt out, okay, so I should probably explain this better. 6 wounds, and then that'll be 3 failed saves, because they have a 4-up save, that's a half chance of failing. So just by having rerolls alone, we've taken it from 2 to 3. Now obviously this isn't always a massive difference. It is for smaller squads in terms of morale checks. At this point it's 25%, so they would have to take a leadership test. And these are always things to think about. Can you make them take a leadership test and fail it? But that's another thing. I'll do a whole video on that kind of tactic. You know, trying to do multiple things and set up sort of special plays, if you like. So by just re-rolling to hit, we've managed to take 2 deaths, 2 casualties to 3 casualties. So let's put these guys back and let's look at strength. So strength and toughness is difficult to adjust a lot. However, this librarian who's nearby also happens to have the power Enfeeble, because, I don't know, let's say he's a mastery level 2 and he took from a couple of disciplines. So he's cast Enfeeble on these Tau Fire Warriors, and they're now toughness 2. So what we're going to see here is, we're ignoring the prescience, that was last turn, he's now got Enfeeble off, and strength is down, so you're basically wounding them a lot easier. So, what we're going to start again with is 10 shots, 6.6 reoccurring hits, and they are going to now wound on 2s, which means there's a 5 in 6 chance they're going to pass. So we times that by 5 over 6, and amazingly we have 5.5 wounds. Now, argument says in this case, in the usual way I'll do it, that is 6 wounds. Got to stay nice and consistent with the pattern. So that's 6 wounds from 10 shots. Now they'll fail half of these again, and lo and behold, that's 3. 3 more gone. So you can see here, just by doing these little things to adjust your ballistic skill, strength and toughness, you can make a massive difference to how many saves they're going to fail. Now obviously these are situational with the librarian. Other codices have different ways of doing this, like upping your own strength over harming your opponent's toughness. But that just shows you the example on the chart. It gives the same result, except what we've seen here is 3 Fire Warriors die because of their reduction in toughness. So if we modify a ballistic skill, we can say, hey, they are, down to 7 out of 10. And if we modify strength and toughness, they're down to 7 out of 10. So now let's say this unit has some AP4 in it. I don't know, let's say they have, an average kit out might be with a plasma gun. So we'll have to roll these separately now. So we're going to pop 2 Fire Warriors back. Ooh. And we are going to go with the 8 bolt gunshots first. So 8 bolt gunshots, and that's times 2 over 3. We know we are going to get 5 hits, because 5.3 rounds down to 5. And then we are on 3s to wound, times 2/3. And that gives us a magical 4 wounds, 2 are dead. So we've already killed 2 just with bolt guns. Lovely. Moving on to the plasma gun, there is a chance it gets hot, but that's 1 in 6. So what we'll do is 2/3 of 2 shots, and we will do the rounding on that. And it says that 1.3, sorry. So it's likely that you're only going to get 1 hit. But that 1 hit is going to wound on a 2 and leave no save. So lo and behold, went a bit overzealous there. 3 Fire Warriors are dead. So you can see by modifying these 3 things here, we've killed an extra Fire Warrior every single round. Now that, spread over a game, might seem small in this case, but spread over a game is a big difference. Now doubling the squad size of that Space Marine squad will increase the number of casualties you'll do to that, obviously. So increasing a dice pool is important. But when we look at these 3 things here, we can see that modifying them makes a big difference in how many models you're going to remove. What I'm going to do now is pause the video, wipe this off again, and we're going to talk a bit more about using it, when to use it, and why to use it. So I'm just going to pause it right now, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I am back, and we've had a nice long look at the maths. What we're going to talk about now is the less mathsy side of Mathhammer. Which might sound ridiculous, so I guess you could call this the hammer half. We've found out that modifying these core principles of how you wound someone makes a massive difference to how many you can kill. In fact, it increases the chance of you killing a unit by 50, or increases the chance there by 50%, because, you know, half of 2 is 1, add it on, 50%. So, you've taken 2 deaths to 3 deaths. That's fantastic. How to use this in a game is obviously very different from sitting at a whiteboard and doing the maths. So, if you're in a tournament and you're playing a game, you know, there are different things going on in the game. There are objectives. There's certain units you're going to want to kill quicker. There are certain units you're going to be less worried about. These are all things you'll have to consider, and that is why I don't think, and I'm being serious, I don't think you can rely on Mathhammer every single time. From the perspective of it winning you the game. Now, yes, it's definitely going to help when it comes to looking at what unit can do what. Like I said at the beginning of the video, that's how I like to look at it. So we know now that 5 Space Marines will kill 2 Fire Warriors in rapid fire, 1 outside of rapid fire. So now that I know this, when I go into a game and I'm like, what am I going to do with these 5 Space Marines? Well, look, there's a squad of 5 or 4 Tau Fire Warriors over there. If I can kill 1, make them fail leadership, you know, that'll be handy. So let's go and do that. As opposed to going, oh yeah, let's just, they'll wipe out that entire squad. And thinking they might do that, which, you know, could be argued as a bit naive. To not think about these things is where a lot of problems come, because you just throw something at something that can't do any damage. So it really maximises the utility of each unit. Another thing to consider, looking at the bigger picture, is would I be better off doing something else with this unit? Yes, I can kill that 1 Tau Fire Warrior, or can I run my unit onto an objective and get a point, and then maybe go to ground next time or something? I don't know. That's the kind of thing I'm looking at. That's what I'm trying to get across. Mathhammer is great to a point, and then you also have to remember this is a dice game. You can roll 5 1s on 5 dice. It's not impossible. Yes, it's unlikely, but it can happen. The game isn't run on statistics. Some of it is dumb luck. And to be, like I said earlier, to be naive enough to just rely on Mathhammer is a bad thing, as well as it is to ignore it. So really, I think, as a general principle, it has its place in the 40k Tactics universe. Should you rely on it? No. Should you use it? Yes. Now, obviously, there are going to be games when it's crunch time, and you're going to want to win this game so much that you go, hey, I'm now going to really hone in on this Mathhammer that I learned with Callum, and I'm going to be like, right, this is how I'm going to win it. You know, and if everything goes the way it should, I've won the game. And there are going to be times when you're like, well, I know that statistically this is less likely, but if I can get lucky and kill 1 Terminator, if I can get lucky and kill 1 tank, this could change the game for me, so I'm going to take the risk. So like I've said in previous videos, risk and reward is always a big thing in 40k, and with that is the Mathhammer. You have to decide whether you want to put the fate of your game in statistics, or whether you want to go all out, balls to the wall, I'm going to win this the hard way. So thank you very much for watching. I know this has been a slightly different video. I hope it's been alright. I hope you've enjoyed the new setup with this whiteboard. It won't be included in every tactics video, but it was kind of important so you could visualise the changes that were happening when we were modifying things and when we were looking at what each unit can do. So with all this in mind, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to click in the 2 links in the description below, the first of which is to the TableTopBanter blog. Go and check it out. Harry's been doing some fantastic work. And the other link is to the Legion of Gamza Facebook page. Well worth a look at as well. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought. Give us some feedback on this style of video. And as ever, guys, don't forget, have fun.